one of our first ToV live streams for this year was reading some Heroscape lore from some Heroscape Fan Lore that Joe Crazy recommended, and read it, but was impressed and decided to, do a segmented video on it and share it with ryguy266, who wrote the let's see here, where is it? The short story Betrayal, and gave our thoughts on it. And here's where I posted that there. And Ryguy responded to my post saying, I'm just going to read this here. It says, "Wow, this is a huge honor. I'm so glad you liked it. Joe did such a great job reading the story. He really brought it to life. And you all took away exactly what I wanted from the story. Your kind words inspired me to write another story, or write another of the many stories I have stored away. I just uploaded the story to the OP. You have a lot of great fan fiction to get through in this forum." Yes, we do. We're barely scratching the surface. But I hope you will enjoy this one as well, and I hope you don't mind me changing the title of this thread, influenced in part by your great work. P.S. Joe Crazy, I think that a Heroscape short film sounds like a really fun idea, although your normal cup gains are so well edited, they're practically short films in themselves. If you want a co-writer, hit me up. That was a very nice thing for Ryguy to say. But yeah, so he changed his the name of the thread basically to, and I'll just say it here, well, it's official. This is a series now, more like an anthology. This is a collection of stories, my favorite games and favorite moments in Heroscape, written in the fashion of fictional short stories. I'm calling them Myths of Valhalla. Very nice name, because none of these are intended to be canon or connected with each other at all. Some of them may be pretty intense, some of them may be pretty goofy, some are shorter, some are longer. Under each header there are some brief notes before each story detailing what game the story was from. It's good to get that backstory, and why I choose to write about it. They're listed top to bottom in reverse order of writing, but they can be read in any order. And he says, enjoy my newest story, Silence. And we'll talk about Silence. We're going to read Silence in a minute. But that was very nice of him. I figured, like I said, I'd share the video that we made a couple months ago on reading his first one. And he was very nice, very gracious about it in his response. And had some nice things to say, about you, Joe. So. And anything you want to say? Yeah, I think you've communicated with him since then. Is that correct?
Yeah. No, I did talk to him. He's a good guy. Very good guy. Of how tired I thought I was of everything, like something of Valhalla. But Myths of Valhalla, that's a banger name.
Yeah, that is. That is. I like it.
I love that. Just at some point, I want to just keep. I want to put my something of Valhalla into the ring. Someday, I don't know what it's gonna be. There's gonna be a long list of Valhalla series. Maybe that's what I'll do. A video on like everything that's of Valhalla. Myths of Valhalla, Tales of Valhalla, Soldiers of Valhalla. Casters of Valhalla.
You're happy to use my stuff as what is it? Like background stuff or whatever. Yeah.
Reference material. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But nice job, Ryguy. I like it.
Yeah, no. It seems very nice. So we will get into then Silence. And what I'm going to do is, Joe, you can read again. I'm just going to read his the very beginning here when he's describing where the story came from, and then you can read the lore story itself. I got you. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right.
Good, yeah.
I think you were picked as the narrator. He said he loves your narration.
Exactly. So I think that's what we got to do with at least Ryguy stuff. All right. So Ryguy says, this story is from a game during a tournament I had recently during January of 2023. I hosted this tournament in Nebraska, so I brought a pretty weird army of 4 granite guardians and Johnny Sullivan. My opponent was really funny and friendly, and that was one of the most fun games I ever played, as we both had pretty goofy armies. However, the ending really sealed the deal for me as one of my top games ever. Enjoy. And so now, before Joe starts reading this, I'm just going to say I actually have not read this short story yet. So you're going to get my just initial real reaction to this live, on the podcast. Or if you're watching this or listening to this on ToV Podcast, Audiosphere, it won't be live, but it's still my initial reaction. So Joe, go ahead.
All right. Silence by Ryguy. A whimper floated through the air, piercing the stillness of the forest. Johnny Sullivan opened his eyes, a scowl plastered under his mustache. Is it too much to ask for a little silence? He lashed out, his boots smashing into the face of a wounded Anubian wolf. Fangs splattered across the mossy stones, and the grotesque body convulsing in death throes. Better put that varmint out of his misery. The shotgun blast echoed through the trees. Birds screeched and took flight, evacuating their perches on the looming, twisting branches. Johnny winced. The ringing in his ear grew with each blast, and now it wouldn't fade. He spat on the carcass, regretting that he'd waste his last moment of silence on an Ukar grunt. Stones shifted by the tree next to him. Gravel and granite swirled from the dirt until a mass of heaving rock, taller than he stood next to him. Howdy, Johnny drawled, tipping the brim of his hat. Thought you boys might be barn sour the way I left you behind. Y'all finish of the last of 'em? The granite guardian lifted his arm, a mass of dusty coal. The end formed into a recognizable gesture. It was signaling a number 1. What you mean, 1 left? Johnny shrugged. No odds to me. The Elementar lowered his arm. What? Y'all can't scare up 1 wolf. He glared at the sentient stone. Indents at the top gave the impression of eyes, and in those eyes were mountains of fear. Wind rustled the leaves, blowing a thick aura over the desolate path. Johnny blinked as the darkness grew, swallowing down the overwhelming fear. He gritted his teeth and wiped his brow with a clammy hand. His heart constricted in his chest, squeezing and squeezing until it might burst. Johnny dropped to his knees, reaching out a hand to warn the Guardian that dread could only mean one thing. Iswin. He gasped. A screaming flurry of crimson terror burst from the trees, crashing into Johnny and throwing him down the path. His knuckles cracked, and the ruined pavement knocking the shotgun from his hand. The Guardian groaned as the beast flailed at his chest, tearing the Elementar apart. Get the gun, damn it! Get the gun! His vision blurred, and the stench of fear burying itself deep behind his eyes. Get the gun! His fingers stretched toward the weapon. Get the gun! His hand grasped the barrel. A surge of confidence shot through him, and he rolled onto his back, aiming the shotgun at the creature. Its eyes turned to pierce its soul. Blood and spittle dripped from its chin. Its scared, distorted face sneered at him, claws still twitching from the kill. But there was no mistaking those eyes. The monster was still an Icewind. His finger rested on the trigger. The creature shifted, bounding away through the trees. He squeezed, the shot piercing its shoulder as it fled. It howled a violent, sound-rending screech before vanishing behind a tree. Johnny scrambled to his feet, charging down the path and hurtling over crumbling building foundations. He rounded the bend to see the Icewind creature tearing into another guardian, its head thrust into the rock, sputtering and choking. Johnny watched in horror as a wound on its shoulder healed. He fired again. The Icewind took flight, bounding between trees and clawing at the guardians. "Run!" Johnny bellowed, but the guardians could hardly move. He swung, the barrel level again, but the creature aligned over a crumbled wall. A terrified guardian scrapped from behind the ruin, but bludgeoned hands restrained it. Johnny swung the sight around. This was his only chance before it destroyed the rest of the guardian advance and came for him. He breathed, the ringing in his ears finally settled, allowing him a moment of peace that cut through the darkness. He could see his target clearly, the guardian in the creature's clutches. "Give Iskra my regards." The explosion rocked the forest. Dust and stone shredded in the trees in ruin, wiping out the area. Johnny ducked his head as gravel stung his face and hands. He coughed, wiping the grit from his eyes. The creature's body slumped against the ruins, torn to bits. Nothing could bring it back. The other guardians turned to face him. Johnny gripped the gun, but instead they bent, seemingly bowing in gratitude. The wall of stone sank into the ground, disappearing until not a single pebble remained. Cool, crisp air blew across the gunslinger's face as sunlight glittered through the trees. Johnny closed his eyes, breathing in the sweet, sweet silence. Yo! That was dope! I want to watch that game. Dope! Wow!
Yeah, it's not every day you can win against a Nessenwine like that.
No.
Especially with Johnny Shotgun Sullivan.
I was waiting to see, what is he going up against here? Is it going to be a dragon? Like, I was waiting for it to be like Cheros or something, or like, or Murmuring, or like, some big, like, but dude, the way he's talked about how it flew behind the trees and going back and claw, oh, I could picture that. Oh, I gotta look for this one line he said, but you guys tell me what you think.
What's that? Which one?
No, I'm gonna look for it. You guys tell me your thoughts on it. I'm gonna go look for it.
Right.
Yeah, that was a good story. I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, I could almost like think, because I have Johnny Shotgun Sullivan and Tales of How the Aftermath Chronicles. So, the gentleman who voices Johnny Shotgun for my series, Mark, I can just hear his voice in this a little bit. It's very well done. I like describing the emotion of the Granite Guardians, giving them, even though it's hard to get water from stone, let alone a personality from stone. But I think Ryguy did a pretty good job with giving some emotion, especially fear. Like if a rock fears something, then you're in trouble. And I liked the weight of that moment, coming to bear when you realize something, very terrible was coming. If like this piece of rock, you know, that's a creature is frightened, then you as the reader and Johnny Sullivan himself should be very scared as well. So I love that setup. It's a very good setup.
Yeah, okay, so I found it. My favorite line was right before we got the drop that it was a vampire. And it was his description of the stone of the Granite Guardian, and he glared at the sentient stone, indents at the top, gave the impression of eyes, and in those eyes were mountains of fear. That is so amazing.
And that's what I mean. That's what I was kind of just mentioning. You're right. It's like I said, giving like a personality, a life to creatures that you want to expect, you know, to have that type of emotion. Yet nailed it. Really nailed it for them. I don't have Granite Guardians, but I'll never look at them the same way again.
No, honestly, I'm gonna look at them and go, well, what can I really make? What can I give to them that will actually make them fearful? Oh my god, in those eyes were mountains of fear. Dude, that's so awesome.
I think he got good. Like you give with Johnny Shotgun Sullivan, you give him like a little bit of a history, especially like saying at the end, give Iskra my regards. So
yeah,
kind of indicating this isn't the first Essenwine he's killed, you know, which is kind of cool to see it. But it's like, okay, 2 down, 2. I think actually one thing, I know this is a short story, but if I would say anything, maybe if in this anthology universe, if you would ever write Johnny Sullivan again, one other thing he might have said to himself before the silence is saying, my friend, hey, Diet Nerd, hey, we got Mr. Joey Ranieri commenting on the stream right now, who is none other than the Lieutenant Dan on Tales of Hell, the Aftermath Chronicles. Hi, Joey, how you doing tonight, man? We actually discussed a little bit ago on the Airborne Elite as the main showcase miniature squad for Heroscape tonight. We did talk a little bit about that. But anyway, what I wanted to say, and Diet Nerds, and Joey, he's saying needs more Lieutenant Dan in this. Well, yes, everything needs a little bit more Lieutenant Dan, and I was going to mention that too. But let me finish what I was going to say. If Johnny would have said something like, after give Iskra my regards, something like 2 down, 2 more to go, indicating because there's four Essenwines. It might have been something to add on to where it's like, ooh, something I could look forward to more in the future, maybe possibly. But I know that Ryguy, you know, writes these based off of inspiration of games he plays, so that might never, you know, happen with that matchup. But then again, you know, it might be cool to leave something open. But yeah, that basically, I wouldn't even call that a critique. It's just more like an add-on kind of thing. But yes, I would say one thing I'd be critical about is the fact that, yes, so when is the Airborne Elite going to be written? And will they be written under the guise of Toothpick, Gimp, Henderson, and Lieutenant Dan? The audience the audience is asking, we need to know.
Yeah, I mean, at least for me, it's like I love these so much. You know, I mean, obviously you read Betrayal and you go, okay, cool, that was a lot of fun, super cool idea, writing is fantastic, you know, it could have been like, hey, that could have been, you know, the best thing ever, but not that it knocks it out of the park, but man, it's the same level of amazingness, and I just never thought I would be able to see something. I mean, I'm not much of a reader. I don't read books. Okay. But reading, like, I want to read an entire book of this. Like, I generally like.
Yeah, no, it was very well done. It was very
like,
well done.
if I feel terrible that Heroscape isn't bigger than it is, because I would love to see a book of the stories of that isn't just the journals, right? Like actual novels. Like, and I would absolutely read them. So that I mean, even the other line I just pulled out that I love so much, right at the end here, talking about the granite guardians again. How the wall of stone sank into the ground, disappearing until not a single pebble remained. I'm like, I mean, even them, I don't remember where they came in, but even how they just kind of grew out of the ground, and you described how they would appear, and then they just shifted away. Like, yo, I wanted that. That's awesome.
Giving them the type of backstory that, they're not just there walking around, they're part of the earth, actually, and they come and appear when that was a nice little take of it too.
I really enjoy that Ryguy took it as not as realistic, but like in the sense that he's telling the story, and it's not like he moved 2 tiles and came around. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't make it it's not the game.
Right.
He took all of the game aspect out, extracted all of it out, and then just whatever was left, and then added, what that world would be like.
He had enough detail to where you could see it in your mind's eye, and that's an important thing.
Yeah,
that's a very important thing.
See, I admire that so much.
Yeah. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not.
No.
And I mean, Jason's written some fiction actually for his
a little bit, yes.
Yeah, his Legend of the Caldazia, and I mean, I read through those, and those are fun. Those were fun to go through. You definitely can see what's going on in his stories. So, but I mean, it takes work. It takes work to write up a narrative. It does, especially if it's longer than a few paragraphs. If it's a book form, then that takes something. But yeah. So anything else about this before we wrap up this segment? Again, Ryguy. We said this before, but yeah, please don't stop. Keep on going, and of course, we'll probably mention you, whatever story you have in the future. I mean, sooner or later, it'll come up. I mean, we will be looking at other lore as well. We'll eventually dive into other lores and Heroscapers.com. Other lore
and
stories.
Please, anyone out there, any
Submit.
Heroscaper out there that searches through the website, and if you see something that you got, comment below, send a link to us,
or send us your own stuff if you got something too. Because there's a lot of raiders out there.
We'll read it.
For sure. All right. Well, if there's nothing else to say, I guess I'll just finish by saying, that this has been this main segment, reading Silence from Ryguy266 on the Heroscapers.com forums, and there will be a link in the description below for you all to go read and comment it yourself. So again, thank you, Ryguy, and until next time,